Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Estrella virtual visit series. My name is Allison Campbell with Estrella Consulting, and I'm so excited to welcome Georgia Fosse from Loyola, Chicago. Our virtual visit series is designed to introduce all of you to a variety of colleges so you can get to know the institutions and their staff in a more personal way. So thank you, Georgia, for taking the time to meet with us. If you don't
Of
mind
course.
just taking a few minutes to just tell us about yourself and how long have you been at Loyola, Chicago?
Hi, everyone. My name is Georgia Fosse, and I'm an admission counselor here at Loyola Chicago. This is actually my first year at Loyola. I just graduated from another fellow Jesuit university. I graduated from Xavier University in Cincinnati, where I studied human resources. But my heart and soul has always been in Chicago. I was born and raised within the city. So I like to say that Loyola truly is the best of both worlds. So I'm very excited to be here in this position. I work with students from the Northern Ohio region, so Cleveland, Akron, Toledo. And during my college years, I was a student worker in Xavier's admissions office. So that's kind of where I fell in love with working with students. And I'm very excited to be on the professional side and helping you all make this really big decision.
Thanks, Georgia. Yeah, we actually met a few months ago. Georgia was in town for another enrollment related event, and we had a really nice chat. And I'm so glad that you've decided to join us for this because, like I've told you many times, it was a couple summers ago. I was in Chicago, and it was actually when I first started with Estrella. And I had not done many college visits, but Loyola Chicago kind of like knocked my socks off. It was such a cool institution. I loved the neighborhood. I loved the location, which I'm sure you'll talk to us a little bit more about. Um, and also the Rome campus opportunity, which I hope you'll share with us as well. So it just seemed like a great fit, location. The programs were really unique. The size was great. So I'm excited to hear more. Again, I've just kind of touched on some of those, but can you just tell us about your location, your enrollment, the type of institution? You also mentioned just now that you went to a fellow Jesuit institution. So, or any other things you think are really important to help students get to know Loyola Chicago?
Of course, yes. So we are obviously our campuses are in Chicago. So our main campus, which is the one you visited, Allison, I believe, is our Lakeshore campus, which is located in Rogers Park, which is actually the northernmost neighborhood of Chicago. And a fun fact, it's actually one of the most diverse zip codes in the United States as well. What I love about that Lakeshore campus location in comparison to a lot of other urban universities and even schools here in Chicago is we really have that traditional feel. So just by walking around campus, if you ever have the opportunity to take a tour, you will see that we have so much green space. There are so many places to study and hang out where you really have that traditional feel. But a big city like Chicago is right around the corner. And we're also right alongside the lake. That's pretty much where we get our Lakeshore campus name from. And what's not to love about some really awesome views? That campus is also home to four out of our eight schools that we offer here at Loyola, and that includes the School of Environmental Sustainability, the Parkinson School of Public Health, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the Marcel Niehoff School of Nursing. So, no, regardless of your major, however, you'll be taking a lot of courses at our Lakeshore campus. But we also have our Water Tower campus right in the heart of downtown Chicago. For those of you watching who are familiar with the area, we are right off of Michigan Avenue. So, really a hotspot of the city. All the same amenities as our Lakeshore campus, but right in downtown. So, we have a student center, we have dining options, and we even have a residence hall you can live in by your sophomore year. So you can have the best of both worlds as well. But also, our Water Tower campus is home to our Quinlan School of Business, our School of Communication, our School of Education, and Social Work have faculty offices down at this campus as well. So at Loyola, you really have the best of both worlds to bring that up again. So if you are looking for more of that traditional campus experience, but also some more tranquility, our Lakeshore campus has you covered. But if you're really looking for the buzz of a big city, Water Tower is just right around the corner. So if you're looking for
Mhm.
both experiences, Loyola has you covered. So now going a little bit more into our size, we are a mid-sized campus. We have 17,000 students total, but 12,000 students are undergraduates, which makes Loyola a mid-sized campus. I think there are a lot of benefits that come with that, such as it's small enough that you can really build your community just by joining one of our many clubs, and we offer over 200 of them. or just by getting to know your peers within your major. At Loyola, we have really small class sizes. Our average class size is 26 students. So you really have the opportunity to get to know your fellow peers, but also learn alongside them. But we're also big enough that you always have the chance to meet someone new, which in my eyes is really what makes the college experience very fun and exciting. So, going a little bit more back to our identity, we are a Jesuit institution. Some of you might be familiar with the Jesuits, or you may be like me coming out of high school, knowing absolutely nothing. Either way, that is okay. But just to give you a quick recap of what the Jesuits are all about, the Jesuit Society is an order of the Roman Catholic Church founded by St. Ignatius of Loyola, and their mission really values social justice and a well rounded education. So you'll see both of those really embedded into your Loyola experience. One example for the well-rounded education comes through our core curriculum, where students are required to take 10, 16 different courses across 10 different knowledge areas, such as philosophy, science, history, where you will learn so much outside of your major and form new ways of thinking and new values. So that's one way the Loyola degree is really valuable, just by having all those different opportunities to really learn outside your major and realize what you're interested and passionate about. Outside of that, on the social justice end, we have so many different opportunities to give back to the community through weekly community action programs. And a lot of our programs are designed in a way to promote social justice. So you have both of those aspects of the Jesuit education really embedded and ingrained to your Loyola experience. So that's a very quick rundown of where our locations are, who we are as a university, and more.
Yeah, that was great. Um, and when you're mentioning the two campuses in Chicago, would you say it's maybe like a 15-minute train ride? It's direct. I mean, you just get on the train at the, was it Rogers Park neighborhood stop and it takes you right downtown. So, I mean, I think that feels like that's definitely a culture shock to some students if you or if you're not like a someone who's been in a big city before, but it was really accessible. It's not like you're going to be navigating some like labyrinth. Like you get on the bus or get on the train stop, it takes you right to downtown Chicago, maybe walk a block or two. It's like it's really, really convenient.
Yeah, and I actually want to mention at Loyola, we do have an inter-campus shuttle that will take students to and from each campus, runs every weekday. So if you have class on one campus and need to get to another, very simple, that's no cost to students. And the bus ride is about 20 to 30 minutes. And there's a new bus to hop on about every 20 to 25 minutes. So
Oh,
very easy to
nice.
get from one campus to another. But like you were saying, Allison, there's a ton of public transit you can take to get around Chicago, but also from one campus to another. So all Loyola students get something that is called the U Pass, which will give you unlimited funds to take the CTA system. So that could be getting on one of the L trains, which is our subway system here in Chicago. We even have our own Loyola stop right next to campus, so it could not be easier, in addition to a lot of buses that run all over the city. So very easy to get around Chicago, but also one campus to another.
Okay. That's very good to know. Can you talk a little bit? I like I have a script and like we talked about like
Yeah.
the some of the questions, but I feel like I don't want to go on about campuses without mentioning this, but can you talk about Loyola's campus in Rome?
Yes. So we actually have our very own international campus right in Rome, which is the John Felice Rome Center. And we have really unique opportunities through that. So one opportunity that I always like to talk about is we have a really unique program at Loyola called Rome Start. If you are really eager to study abroad your freshman year, you might have some international experience or background already. Rome Start could be a really good option for you. That opportunity allows students to spend their entire freshman year studying abroad at Rome, and then they would return to Chicago for those final 3 years. But outside of that, there are plenty of opportunities to study abroad at the Rome Center. There are a lot of humanities classes offered there, and we have so many different timelines students can choose from, whether that be a semester long program, just even over summer or winter breaks. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to go and study abroad. But if you imagine Loyola, right, in a different country, that pretty much describes our Rome Center. So we have a lot of the same typical amenities that you will find here in Chicago, right in Rome. Also, since the Rome Center is Loyola's very own campus, scholarships and financial aid do transfer over very seamlessly. But also, my favorite part about the Rome Center is classes are only 4 days a week. So Loyola students and any students studying abroad at the Rome Center have the opportunity to not only explore Italy, but also go on weekend excursions since you have that 3 day weekend. And as someone who did a very quick study abroad program, I can tell you that there is no easier time to do so. So it's great that we have all those experiences that you can definitely be a part of by being a student at the Rome Center. But we also have 150 different programs in 60 different countries. So if you are looking to study abroad in places not Rome, don't worry, we still have you covered.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. I definitely know that there is quite the global focus at Loyola,
Mhm.
whether you're taking advantage of the Rome Start program or if you have different opportunity in mind, like Loyola will help you take advantage of that. My next door neighbor is actually a sophomore at Loyola Chicago, and she was telling
Oh,
me about, oh, I
awesome.
might go to London, I might do this, I might do that. So, and it's funny, B2, I think the more I talk to students, it just seems like such an accessible option. Like for me, when I studied abroad
Yeah.
20 years ago, it was like a huge deal. Like you're studying abroad, why would you do that? You're going to be gone for a whole semester. And now it's like a, a part of the criteria that people are looking for is like, well, I just want to make sure I can study abroad because it's like a no-brainer
Yeah.
for me. So I'm glad that people are making that an option for themselves and taking
Mhm.
advantage of it. And colleges are making it very seamless. So,
For
because it can be really
sure.
expensive. Then you're my age and then you can't ever get away or travel or anything. So do it now
Yeah.
while you can.
Totally
As you
agree.
like I said, you had mentioned that you oversee like the Northern Ohio territory, among others, but what are you looking for in a student? Like, what do you th think is the type of student that would really thrive and succeed at Loyola Chicago?
Yeah, so I definitely think a well-rounded student is someone who would thrive at Loyola Chicago and someone who can really align with those Jesuit values that I was touching on earlier. So someone who is really committed to social justice, is really committed to all those different kinds of opportunities to be a student who really thrives at Loyola Chicago, and someone who really just has a passion for learning and really wants to, during these 4 years, not only learn just so much about themselves but also learn so much about the world around them. A lot of our programs at Loyola are very interdisciplinary, meaning that you are not just learning about your major and your field of study, you're also learning about so much outside of that. So if you love learning and you have a passion for it, I think you could be have a really great fit at Loyola, but also someone who is again going back to that best of both worlds field I was talking about, someone who wants both experiences. So if you want to be closely connected to a huge city and have a lot of those experiences, but also have that traditional college campus feel and just have that traditional college campus experience, Loyola could be a really good fit for you as well.
Hmm. Yeah, but also I think bringing that awareness, if you are a student that's looking for something more like very traditional, sleepy college town, everything, it looks very uniform or homogenous, like Loyola is not going to be for you, and that's okay.
Yes, I
So
would agree with that.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be a culture shock to some people if you are looking for something that's like more rural and traditional and
Yeah, we are
like
not
inside of a
that.
neat box. Yeah, it is not. Um, are you seeing any trends as far as admission with your university? Like, are you seeing students from a particular area? Are you seeing a specific major really catching on?
So, one major that I have seen, especially just by talking to students, there's a lot of interest in cybersecurity right now.
Okay.
And I can see how that's very important, especially with AI programs very much on the rise. And we're seeing that come into our lives on a daily basis now. I've been getting a lot of interest about students about cybersecurity options and majors we offer here at Loyola. And yes, we do offer that as a major, in addition to software engineering and computer science as well. So there's a lot of different majors you can go down that path with.
Okay. Um, as far as like maybe demographics or locations in the US or maybe international that you're seeing like students draw from, is there anything that you're seeing trending there?
Yeah, so I think it's a little too early to tell to see those trends yet, but our past, most recent class data that we do have representation from all 50 states and 85 different countries. So our Loyola students really do come from all over.
Okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes here. I have again, like I kind of work off this
No,
so
of
then I can
course,
share my notes with my teammates.
for sure.
Um, Speaking of like one particular program that I think is of interest, I find a lot of students that have interest in like environmental science, like that seems to be a very popular place for students that have that interest is to look at Loyola Chicago. So I feel like you have your own college of that, correct?
Yeah, so I was actually going to bring up, I know that in your list of questions, you mentioned a major that maybe deserves to be highlighted a little bit more. And I would definitely
Mhm.
say all of our majors within the School of Environmental Sustainability. So thank you for bringing that up. So I would
Mhm.
definitely say that we are in a really unique position being in a city like Chicago that is such a huge city and so urban that we offer a School of Environmental Sustainability with a lot of research and fieldwork opportunities for our students. Our majors are environmental science, environmental policy, and environmental studies, where you get a lot of that hands-on experience. And as a campus as well, I just want to take this as a time to highlight our sustainability efforts, which as a Loyola student, you have the opportunity to be a part of that as well. One really unique fun fact about Loyola is we actually have a biodiesel lab. So all the cooking oil that we use in our dining spaces on campus, we actually reconvert that into the fuel that powers our campus shuttles. And also every single soap dispenser
Wow.
we have on campus is also a part of that reconverted fuel. So it's we have environmentally friendly soap. So that is really unique. And before coming to Loyola, I didn't even think that was possible. So
Hmm.
it's really awesome how our students can be a part of that as well as they can have those internship opportunities within our school environmental sustainability and that biodiesel lab where they just make sure the fuel is meeting all the standards to be reconverted into all these different things that are utilized all over campus. We also have our retreat and ecology campus in Woodstock, Illinois, where there's a lot of fieldwork opportunities for students. There are funded fellowships that students can be a part of as well through our School of Environmental Sustainability. So there are options being in such a big city where you can get a lot of that hands-on experience. And I feel like more now than ever, there's been a lot of focus and public attention to sustainability and just being more green in all of our efforts. So it's great that you can have this experience during your undergrad years.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
known that about the cooking oil or the hand soap either, which is pretty fantastic.
it's such a fun fact.
Yeah, totally. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk real quickly about student support. So, do you have an honors program? Like, so if you have students that are really looking for something to push them and challenge them, is there an honors program?
Yes, so we offer two honors programs. So we offer the interdisciplinary honors program, which is open to students from all different majors. You'll be taking a lot of that core curriculum, a part of our Jesuit mission, in a cohort style. So those will be nine different courses and very humanities focused. There's also definitely benefits such as priority course registration, and you'll live in the same residence hall as other honor students. If you are a business student, we do have our own business honors program as well, which is known as Quinlan Honors. So you'll be taking, similar to the interdisciplinary honors program, you'll be taking a lot of those core business classes in that cohort style. And you'll also be completing projects throughout your time in the Quinlan Honors program and a lot of the similar benefits as well. So if you are looking to challenge yourself at Loyola, honors is one way to do so. But I always like to say there are more ways to challenge yourself outside of honors as well, whether that be through an internship, research, field work. So there are a lot of different ways where you can get a lot of challenging experience and just learn a lot. So honors is just it's a not a one size fits all for having that challenging aspect to your college career.
Okay. And is there any monetary incentive to being a part of an honors program? Like, do you get an opportunity for a scholarship opportunity or a grant of some sort?
Not that I know.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk the opposite end of the spectrum. So if you have students that are looking for a little bit more support, outside of just like your standard disability services or like accessibility services, is there any type of like I'm gonna say like a fee-based program or a bridge program that you provide to help offer additional support?
Yeah, so we have our Student Accessibility Center, which I know that's kind of what you were touching on a little bit earlier. So any accommodations you have, definitely apply for those at Loyola. And I just want to highlight that just because your high school accommodations will not automatically transfer over. So to anyone watching who is interested in Loyola and will need accommodations, I definitely recommend to start that process as soon as possible. just to make that transition a little bit easier. And then we can cover a lot of different areas of accommodations, whether that be housing, dietary, or just academic support. But also going into that academic support piece as well, we offer a lot of different support for our students, supplemental instruction for some courses, student tutoring, and we also have a writing center our students can take advantage of.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, we really tell our students that they need to start advocating for themselves like as soon as they get accepted and put down the deposit, like you should be making those connections with someone in accessibility or disability services.
For sure.
Um, and if you're talking about things that are maybe aren't even academic related, like if you have a dietary restriction or if you have like a housing need, like that stuff is typically first come, first serve. So making sure that you're introducing yourself, advocating for yourself, like finding out what the next steps are, because I'm assuming in a place like Chicago, like things, the resources are going to be a little bit more limited. So thanks for bringing that up.
Of
Let's talk real
course.
quickly about housing, because I think that's something we've seen with some of our Ohio schools is a lack of housing, like college housing insecurity. And again, being in a big city, it is harder because you're landlocked, it's expensive. So is there a residency requirement? And also like, is there a guarantee?
Yeah, so all students are guaranteed housing the first 2 years because we have a 2 year residency living requirement,
Okay.
meaning all freshman and sophomore students are required to live on campus. We have 22 residence halls total. Your first year, there are 7 different residence halls that you can live in. After your sophomore year, junior and senior year, housing is not a guarantee at that point, but most times students will move off campus to different off-campus apartments in the Rogers Park neighborhood or even in the Water Tower area. So there are definitely other options, but we do have some housing available for junior and senior year.
Is there any way to like help a student with that? Because I feel like, again, as a parent, you're thinking about like, oh, okay, they've got the housing covered for the first 2 years, but like Chicago housing is not cheap. So is there, any type of maybe like service provider or partnership that you have with someone that they're not going to have to go find like astronomical rent? Because like I feel like I couldn't afford to live in Chicago sometimes. So for a 20-year-old or something, like, is there a way that they can, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there's like a partnership or like, oh, here's some recommended people that you could reach out to for housing, or is it just kind of like best of luck?
I know for Rogers Park, I'm like blanking on what exactly it is, but I believe we do have some sort of partnership or
Okay.
connection. I'm
Yeah.
blanking on what it is, but I believe we do have one.
That's okay. You don't have to give me specifics, but I just feel like that's a question we get a lot in like New York City, Boston,
Oh,
Chicago,
totally.
LA. Like, where is my student going to live? Like, it's cool that at least you have the first 2 years taken care of, but some will say, if you're a
Yeah.
17 or 18-year-old, we don't have guaranteed housing. And like, where are they supposed to go? So thank you
Yeah.
for that. And again, I could even ask my neighbor too, because she's probably going to be going through that next year as a
Yeah.
junior when she has to live off campus or find something else. On the same lines of housing, well, I guess housing, but do you offer any support for LGBTQ students, even with like a gender neutral housing or like offer singles, anything like that?
Yeah.
Probably
So
two
they
different
can
questions,
definitely
but
Yeah, so they can definitely work with our Office of Residence Life because we want to make sure that they are in the most comfortable living situation. So if you identify with that, we definitely recommend to reach out to our Office of Residence Life so you can find the most comfortable living situation for you. But also through our Student Accessibility Center or SAC at Loyola, if you have any specific housing accommodations where you do need a single room, you would need to apply through them.
okay. Again, first come, first serve, right? So if you need that, you're going to have to probably get on that sooner than later. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get me a couple more questions in. Okay, so my colleague Jamie has developed this resource and it's been shared so many times. And it's about hidden scholarships. So obviously not hidden, but are there any scholarships at Loyola? Say someone applies and just based on merit alone, they're gifted, X amount of dollars because they had a strong GPA, rigor, maybe a test score or whatnot. Are there any scholarships at Loyola that a student would have to take an additional step? Maybe like they're major specific or they're application based. So are there any of those types of scholarships that we could tell our Estrella students to keep an eye out for if they want to make Loyola Chicago a more competitive option?
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend for all admitted students to be checking their student portal. And for those of you watching, that is the same place where you are able to view your admission decision, because on there you will see an additional applications tab. And it is possible you were invited to apply for some other scholarship opportunities through Loyola. Those could
Okay.
range on the major you chose. Those range from environmental science, education. It could be based on your community involvement or background. We have the Gannon Scholarship, which is awarded to students with very strong leadership and service and will be a part of a leadership cohort during their 4 years at Loyola. So if you were invited to apply for any of those specific opportunities, I would recommend looking at that tab on your portal, and just know that those scholarships are competitive in nature, but it never hurts to apply. So I recommend for all students to apply and look into those opportunities. A majority
Okay.
of those opportunities and scholarships are stackable, meaning they would not cancel out your merit award you may have received when you were accepted to Loyola. But also, these are outside of Loyola, but I always recommend for students to look into external scholarship opportunities as well, whether that be through your high school counseling center or community organization you're involved in. And there's even certain websites like FastWeb and Scholly that are dedicated to
Mhm.
students getting those different external scholarship opportunities. You can definitely apply those towards your cost of attendance at Loyola, and they would stack on top of your other awards as well. So those are
Okay.
the two opportunities I recommend to students.
Okay, cool. So nothing that is it's what's probably an opportunity that Loyola would have to identify a student based on a major or something that's in the application that they would have to apply for, but they would have to be identified. It's not something that I could tell a student like, oh, you want business at Loyola, so you need to look up Google blah 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 scholarship and then try to fill it out. It would already be identified to you on your portal.
That's correct. And I do want to
Okay.
mention, so this might not be during the application, the decision process, but during your 4 years at Loyola, there could be the opportunities to apply for other scholarships within your major or through a fellowship. So those opportunities are definitely there as well.
Okay. Very cool. All right. I know that you are new to Loyola, so you might not have a strong answer on this one. So you can pick either one. So what would you say, who would you say is either the most exciting guest that you've had on Loyola's campus as a speaker, a performer, something, or maybe the most interesting alumnus?
So I don't think this person falls into either of those categories, but I would like to talk about Sister Jean, who is our basketball team's chaplain. She has been there
Hmm.
since the 90s, and she has just been so important to our team for just helping them with advice and just helping them make sure they are on track to with that eligibility. So she is awesome. I really feel like she became most popular though during
Hmm.
our Final Four run back in 2018, where she really rose to national prominence. She's been there at every single game. She's still going strong. She just celebrated her 105th birthday back in August. So it's really awesome
That is
to still see her
crazy.
on campus. And my fun fact, and I would say claim to fame, is my family has a restaurant here in Chicago, and she actually celebrated her 100th birthday there. So I always
That's
think that's
awesome.
really unique. So I've never met Sister Jean, but my parents have. So
Okay, well, what's the restaurant? We're already on this topic. What's the plug for the restaurant?
it's called Antiprima, and it's an Italian restaurant. I think it's
Auntie
pretty good not
Prima.
to be biased.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. I do like Chicago, so I'm always up for the next best recommendation. So that's great. Well, thank you so much, Georgia. This has been
Of course.
wonderful. If you're watching this, you have an interest in Loyola Chicago, definitely reach out to Georgia. She's a wealth of information and super friendly, and definitely visit. If you have the opportunity to visit Loyola Chicago, it's an incredible visit. They also have one of the best virtual visits I've ever been on. So I feel like when COVID happened and you were pivoting to the virtual visit, it's like it's like you're walking down the pathway and then you walk into the chapel or to the yeah, I guess it's the Madonna Chapel, I believe.
Yeah.
You can see Lake Michigan. It's really cool. So either way, do a visit if it's virtual, if it's in person, but Georgia's a great resource for you. So thank you so much. Best of luck
Thank
to you the rest of the
you.
year and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Take care.